All right, guys, thanks again for joining us tonight. So tonight is the third installment of our masterclass series, and we'll be discussing the top 3 inflammatory foods to avoid and how to help your gut survive. So a little bit about me. My name is Meredith Dishman. I am an aromatherapist specialist for animals, and I'm currently undergoing my clinical certification for aromatherapy. I've been part of doTERRA, love clean living, and have been a lifetime PCOS and autoimmune warrior, I guess you could say. So a lot of my story and kind of where my background came from, at the age of 20, I actually was diagnosed with PCOS and had a whole bunch of really weird stuff go on, just excessive weight, things like that. And so I got to live how to navigate autoimmune and how to navigate our modern medicine and all of those fun things over the last 20 years to try to help alleviate symptoms and help me get back to feeling great. So it's been a journey, to say the least, but it's definitely been something that I'm very passionate about sharing so that other people hopefully don't experience the same 20 years of delay in getting some relief on their symptoms. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So tonight we're talking about inflammatory, but let's start out with a little bit of gut health. Why is it so important? So according to a study done by Anderson Haynes, over 70% of our immune cells are found in the gastrointestinal tract. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't realize there were so many of them found there. So since your gut wall acts as a barrier for viruses, fungi, harmful bacteria, if you have a problem in that gastrointestinal tract and you've got your immune cells there and they're supposed to be doing their job and protecting you, if you have problems, you end up with leaky gut. And it's where the breakdown of those walls allow a whole bunch of crud into your bloodstream. Nobody wants that. So the idea to keep your gut, healthy and to keep it, fully functional is really important. So things like irritable bowel, inflammatory, celiac, all those different maladies, I guess you could say, basically all contribute to how your gastrointestinal is working and the health of it. So one of the big things to focus on is making sure, obviously, you stay healthy. So go ahead, guys, and open up your chat window. And I have a little bit of a question. What does an ideal gut look like to you guys? Does anybody have any ideas? I see regular bowel movements. Anyone else have any guesses? Ooh, no indigestion. That's beautiful. No toots. Well, yeah, well, no toots. Well-balanced mood, definitely. Anyone else have any guesses? Feeling good with no bloating. Oh, no bloat is an awesome thing. So basically, a lot of these are all definitely correct. Absorbing nutrients efficiently, supporting and actually help maintaining a healthy immune response, assisting in maintaining a stable mood. Y'all hit that one. Regulating your weight and regular and healthy bowel movements. So now that we've kind of got an idea between, what does it look like to be healthy? What does it look like to be unhealthy? So what traits? Pain, belching, absolutely. Any other guesses? Indigestion, yeah, the runs, tiredness, absolutely, yeah. Stomach cramps are big. Those are awesome guesses. So the representative of a unhealthy gut would definitely be your digestive orders that we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Irregular or unhealthy bowel movements. So there's definitely the health of poop. You can look that one up and tell exactly what it's supposed to look like. Autoimmune disease, mental health issues, and nutrient deficiencies. Those are all indicators of an unhappy gut. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm not really shocked. It's kind of one of those things where if it's cataclysmic, you've got some problems. So what should you avoid? Now, in my own health journey, I definitely found that these were the key three things for me to avoid to make sure that my inflammation was not going absolutely crazy. So the first one, gluten, second one's dairy, and the third one are nightshades. So go ahead and dig a little more into each of those. So gluten is actually a protein found in many grains. It's typically common in bread, pasta, cereals, all the things that you smell, the delicious bread that they give you at an Italian restaurant, all that good stuff. But did y'all realize that by taking gluten, it can actually cause long-term damage from the changes to your gut bacteria? So what it does is it affects the immune system through your gut-associated lymphoid tissue, which is called GALT, G-A-L-T. There's been some studies that have actually focused on that and exactly like the damage that it does. So who should actually avoid this? Anybody who's been diagnosed as a celiac, or if you're gluten sensitive. And for me, I am a gluten sensitive person. So if I have this in my diet and I get snuck into something, I have stomach cramps. I don't feel good. My hands get swollen. It will hurt to just do this. And my knuckles will get a little bit tender. So I can definitely tell if there's something that's, in my meal that's causing me to become inflamed, and it's almost instantaneous. Some really great options actually that I found along the way are almond flour, cassava, and coconut flour. Cassava is actually a root. So if you're not familiar with that, it's just a big root vegetable, but those are all now much more common in grocery stores, and you can just pick up a bag of those. And typically on the whole, it's a 1-to-1 type swap. Just make sure that you read the labels. The next one that I've run into for me was dairy. So most food today is not the same food that we had 100 and 150 years ago. The nutrients are very, very different. We've all grown up hearing, I'm sure many on this call have heard milk does a body good, or, your mom would sit there with your milk served with your meal and make you drink that up because you had to have strong bones. But it's not necessarily the best thing for us. We don't really get that raw version that helps benefit our systems. And with the nutrients that are lacking in that and the massive production with, chemicals, all the different things that they give the animals, antibiotics, etc., we're not really getting true nutrient dense dairy anymore. So a lot of people also have problems with digesting milk and processing that. And that's more about the enzymes and if you've got lactose issues and so forth. But there's gas, bloating, and other bowel issues that can occur as a result of dairy intolerance. And so those are all indicators that that's something that you probably don't need in your diet. Some great alternatives, actually. Yes, Melissa, you're right. We are the only country with milk as a recommended beverage with each meal as a standard. Everybody else is water. So milk alternative examples would be goat or sheep. Those are a lot more gentle on your system. Nut milk is really great. And you can have anything from almond to macadamia nut. I mean, there is the gamut out there. Whether you want to make your own or buy it, just make sure you read the ingredients. Ideally, you should only see the nut and water. There should be nothing else than that. And then the final one is A2 milk, which has to do with the type of enzyme that your body processes. And that's more in line with where the raw milk comes from versus your overly processed milk. There's a lot of information out there about A2 milk, so you can definitely Google that. The next one are nightshades. Now, there's a lot of debate about nightshades. This is very custom to your own, your own journey. For me, I found with my autoimmune stuff that this was definitely one of the key indicators that would kind of tip me off that something was going on. So for me, I would get really bad indigestion, my stomach would cramp again, and I would have a lot of acid reflux that was not normally found in my day-to-day. And so for me, tomatoes and peppers were really not one of the best ones for me to eat, especially when I was really inflamed. And so I actually ended up going through what's called an AIP, or an autoimmune protocol diet, that removes all the things that trigger inflammation. And some of the big ones were tomatoes and peppers. So that helped get my stuff back under control. And now, since I've addressed this, I don't have the same response with nightshades. But it does take time for that to occur. It's not an overnight thing. Usually it's about a 60 to 90-day elimination before you can reintroduce that back into your system. So I would just make sure that you're intuitively listening to your body and making sure that you're paying attention to what you're eating and how your body responds to that. So now that we've isolated things that we don't need, what do we need to actually help our gut maintain its optimal balance? The first thing would be whole foods. So think of whole foods, and I don't mean whole paycheck, whole foods. So when you're in a grocery store, think about the part that's on the outside walls. So it's your fruit and vegetables. It's the deli, or not the deli, but the meat counter where you've got fresh fish, fresh beef, you've got some dairy with the alternatives there, and so forth. And so it's all of those really great, as seen in nature, not processed type foods. So the biggest thing I encourage people to do is eat the rainbow and use that food to try to help heal you. Limit those refined sugars and the processed foods. That's going to be something that will really help your gut and make sure that you are actually getting the nourishment that you need by, again, eating the rainbow and not having that processed gunk in there. And then the third thing is to focus on the dirty dozen. Now there is, and I'll include this link, but there is a list of typically 12 of the vegetables and fruits that the way our modern processing is with chemicals and pesticides and all that stuff, they've been shown to absorb more of those chemicals. So when you consume those, you're actually consuming a lot more of those toxic chemicals, which does a number on your system. So if you focus on that dirty dozen and buy those organic, you actually can help minimize that toxic load that you're taking into your system, which is a win-win for everybody. Next is supplementation. So the two top ones that I love to focus on are the Lifelong Vitality. It's a three-type series with doTERRA, and then the Terrazyme and PB Assist. These don't contain genetically modified material. They're gluten-free, they're dairy-free, and so it doesn't have any of those indicators that we discussed earlier where they would cause additional issues. Now, the big thing about the Lifelong Vitality is that vitamin, you heard me mention about nourishment and what's in our food. We're missing some gaps now just because the quality of our food and the soil is not like it was. So this helps kind of to plug in those holes to make sure that you're really getting the nourishment that you need on a daily basis. And for me, I can tell when I don't take mine. Now, the Terrazyme and PB Assist are more for healthy digestion and metabolism of enzyme deficient processed foods, or helping you kind of with that balance and getting those probiotics and prebiotics in there to help your system function. Those you can take when you eat something that maybe doesn't necessarily sit well with you. The Terrazyme will help break that down and help your body process it and help support that through that process. And then finally, our oils to support the gut. Now, these are actually three that I use on a very regular basis: digestin, ginger, and peppermint. And digestin is actually a favorite of mine. It helps with healthy digestion. It can actually reduce gas and occasional indigestion, upset stomach, constipation, all those icky things that go along with your gut. And it is a combination of the following oils. It's peppermint, coriander, ginger, caraway, cardamom, fennel, and anise. And all of those are super heavy hitters when it comes to your gut and how to help with indigestion. So that's probably, I would say, the most impactful powerhouse that you could use if you're having stomach problems. Ginger is actually one that in Chinese medicine, a lot of Eastern cultures, they use ginger to help calm stomachs. And we've got ginger lozenges. Yes, Melissa, those are delicious, but ginger is great. It helps with the digestion. It can actually help with nausea if you get motion sickness. Sometimes eating a ginger lozenge will actually help stop that rather than having to take a medication. So that's a really good alternative to have on hand. And then finally is peppermint. That actually helps with your respiratory function, clear breathing. It helps calm your stomach. And one of the fun facts about peppermint is actually it's a natural bug repellent. So in addition to helping give you an awesome stomach and feel better, you have to get rid of bugs with that. So it's really great from a win-win standpoint on that. And that kind of highlights the top three things, inflammation, ways you can address that. So if you have any other questions or want to dig into any of this a little bit further, this is the ways to contact me. And you can reach out to me on any of those. I'm on socials, email, and so forth. So guys, as we wrap our series, you've heard from Melissa, you've heard from Amanda and myself, and we're all here to continue to support you. So make sure that you pay attention to those emails. We'll have another follow-up tomorrow morning. And if you've run into anything where you're like, oh, I really want to listen to that again, go ahead and listen to those recordings and be sure to reach out to any of us if you have questions. Thanks so much, and we'll go ahead and end the recording.